In today's video, what we're going to be talking about is how you can save money while living on one income. So this video is for you if you're maybe planning to bring your household down to one income and things that you can do to prepare for that, or if you just don't feel like you're saving enough money and you currently have one income. We went through this process. It started about 4 years ago when I was an attorney. I had my own practice. I was working a lot, and we have 6 children, 4 of them little boys. And at the time, they were under age 5. So as you can imagine, it was pretty crazy for me to try and manage our household and do work and do it all well. What we did was we attempted to reduce our expenses as much as we could until we got to a place where we could live on just my husband's salary. And at the time, I was the breadwinner. So throughout our marriage, because I was a lawyer and he's a teacher, I was the one making most of the money. So we had a pretty big gap to fill. And so what I'm going to go over with you today is all of the things that we did to find room in our budget, because it all adds up. Some of these ideas may work for you, some you may already be doing, but it is not that you have to do all of these things. It's just the more of them you can do, the snowball effect starts to happen and things compound and you make better progress more quickly. Prior to us joining the financial independence movement, I never believed that we could afford to save, that we didn't have any money left over. And that was the problem, is that I needed to adjust my thinking, not from we don't have money to save, but to where can I save? And so there's really just 2 ways that you can make room in your budget to save. And one is to either increase your income and then put that in the savings, or decrease your expenses and then put that in the savings. Or you could do both of those things. So let's get started. Tip number 1 is to use a budget. I know that maybe some of you don't enjoy budgeting, or maybe you don't know how, or no one has ever taught you how to budget. It's not only important to know what you're currently spending your money on so you can find the areas that you can cut, but it's also just important for you to see sometimes we just mindlessly spend. And the only way that you're going to get ahead in your finances is to be intentional with your finances. So your budget is your roadmap. We have videos on how to budget. I'll link some of them below. We also have some spreadsheets and paper sheets for you to help you get your budget started. And then the second thing is, we've talked about it just a second ago, and that is not spending money mindlessly. Make your purchases intentional. I used to say that shopping is not a recreational activity, because it is for some people. You know, what do you want to do? Let's go shopping. Here in San Diego, we have beautiful outdoor malls, and so it's fun to just go and people watch, but you inevitably spend money. That's the mindless spending money that I'm talking about. Also, getting on Amazon and just clicking. It's so easy to do. So tip number 2 is to really be aware of your spending and do so intentionally. I suggest you take a look at about 3 months worth of bank statements. And what you're looking in there for is, what are you spending your money on? And you're asking a question of every single thing that you're spending money on. Is this something that I need to pay for anymore? Or is it something that I can reduce? So for instance, maybe you have a gym membership that's coming out that you're really not using it anymore. You are enjoying being outside and doing your workouts outside, and so you don't need that gym membership anymore. Get rid of that. Or maybe your car insurance, you haven't had a rate reduction in a couple of years. It's worth contacting your provider and seeing if they can reduce your rates. All of these start to add up. Tip number 4 is related. It's looking at all of the recurring expenses you have being taken out of your account automatically. Sometimes we forget, and so it's a good idea to review your statements periodically to see if there's some that you've missed. And if you're no longer using them or you don't need them, then you're cutting that expense out. This next one was a big one for us. It is no car payments. When we started this journey, we had 3 cars that we were making payments on, and as you can imagine, that was a lot of money. I think it was about $1,600 altogether for all 3 cars. One way that you can get out of a car payment, and we've done this a couple of times successfully, when we needed to get out of a car payment but we were upside down in the car, we would go ahead and sell the car for fair market value, but also make an arrangement with the buyer and attach bills of sale and a contract, and that we would pay off the remaining balance simultaneously and cooperate with any future issues they may have in getting the car titled in their name. We did that a couple of times. It worked both times. Actually, no, we did it 3 times. 2 times with a car and 1 time with a travel trailer. But each time it worked perfectly. Your buyers just want assurances that they're not going to get stuck with a car that has money on it. And so as long as you're bringing your share of the funds to the table to pay off the balance, that's one way to get out of it. And then purchase a car in cash. Doesn't have to be a great car. You can get some pretty nice cars that are a few years old that still have a lot of life in them. Housing, cars, and food are our biggest expense. So if we can find a way to cut one or all 3 of those things, the better. Getting rid of the cycle of getting upgraded cell phones. This one was a biggie because we did not see or realize how much that was adding up for us to upgrade every single time. And every single time it kept a payment on our account. And so when I was looking through our bills, at the time we had 4 phones on them, each with a monthly service fee on it. And then there were other things that are attached to those phones. We put the phones into our debt snowball and got those paid off as fast as possible. And that freed up a couple $100 in our budget. Either keep the phone you have or get the newer version that you want, but pay for it in cash and get it at a discount. Again, housing, food, and transportation are our biggies where we spend money. When we're talking about food, there is so much that you can do to get that budget down. Meal planning and meal prepping is a great way to do it. We shop our pantry first. So I don't just make a list out of the meals that we want to have during the week, but I look in our pantry and our freezer, and that dictates what our meals will be for the week. And then say a recipe needs mushrooms and I have everything but the mushrooms. It's the mushrooms that goes on the grocery list. And so that has allowed me to really get really good about bargain shopping. Also, I don't do Costco anymore. I found that I was spending way more money at Costco, and even though I had the professional plan where you get a check at the end of the year, it still was not enough to offset the expense of shopping at Costco. And you have to be really careful at Costco that you're comparing the per unit price, so either per ounce or pound, whatever, that you're comparing the prices, because it's not always cheaper to buy something at Costco, and there's those impulse buys that they're so great about there. So we got rid of our Costco. The other thing that has helped me a lot is now I order my groceries. I avoid the grocery store like the plague, because there kind of is a plague, but I don't go inside the store. I do my grocery order online, and I do it with 2 stores. I do it with Walmart and Aldi, and usually what Walmart doesn't have, I can get at Aldi. And Aldi is where I get my bread, because I can get my bread at Aldi for like $1.29, and at Walmart the same bread is almost $3. And so I'll buy big loaves or a big bunch of bread at one time, and we put it in the freezer. That saves me about $10 just on the bread alone, which can be then used for something that's more expensive, like meat. Having dump meals or frozen meals in our freezer is also a help. So if there's a day where you just know that you're going to be running around, having that frozen dump meal in a Ziploc bag in your freezer ready to go already makes it super easy. You take it out of the bag, put it in the crock pot, let it sit all day, and when you're done running your errands or work or whatever, it's done for you. And along with that, I always have a few emergency meals on hand. So these are super, super fast meals that take me just a few minutes to prepare, like bean tostadas or tuna casserole. Having those meals ready is another thing that avoids those impulse takeout nights. I have a few more areas where you can save your food. We also do a soup at the end of the week. We call it refrigerator soup. We used to call it garbage soup, but that doesn't sound very appealing. So now we call it refrigerator soup. Other people call it leftover soup. And you're basically taking everything that's left over in your refrigerator from the previous week and adding some things to it, maybe beans or pasta or both, and corn, or a pack of mixed vegetables or tomatoes. You're adding things to it and creating a soup out of it. It's my husband's favorite. He loves it every single time. No matter what the leftovers are, it turns out delicious. They love it. I make some bread to go with it, and everyone is happy. So you're using your freezer so that you can freeze things and use them for later, but also to avoid waste. You're also doing that with your refrigerator. You're going through your refrigerator, and if you're seeing something that's maybe gonna spoil soon, and it can be frozen and you don't think you're going to need it, put it in a freezer bag and freeze it. Or do like I suggested a few moments ago and make it into something so that you're not wasting that food, because that is a budget buster when we're buying things that just go bad. It's just like throwing it away. All right, moving on from food. Another thing that we cut our expenses on is clothing. We do not really do a whole lot of clothes shopping. We have let other people know with kids that if they have hand-me-downs for our boys, we want them. We've also shopped Goodwill recently for the boys' jeans because they put holes in every single pair of jeans they have. It doesn't matter. And then for myself, my wardrobe is fairly simple. I'm usually in leggings and something else to cover up. Like this, I bought two. I bought one in this color and one in a darker brown color. So if I find something I like, I usually will buy more than one and I'm set. I don't know if you guys can notice right now, but I have a mark on my chin. I'm trying to hide a surgery. I had a surgery a couple days ago and I don't want you all to see my ugly scar, but in case it's peeking out, that's what that is. Now this is a big one, and it is what a lot of us struggle with to begin with, and that's paying off our debt. You have to pay off your debt. Every dollar that you're sending to debt is money that you are not saving. And so working a debt snowball or a debt avalanche to pay off that debt, if you're not sure what those are, I'll link resources down below for you that explains what a debt snowball is and a debt avalanche. You really want to pay off that debt, and you're either going to pay it off by smallest to largest balance or largest to smallest interest rate, and you're just going to kick the heck out of that and get rid of it, because then you shrink your outgo of money so that what's left you can save with. And let's not forget that one of our main goals here is to help you do these things, help you to spend more. No, not spend more. Save more, spend less, and build wealth, and doing it all while living a joy-filled life. You can do all of this and still have fun, especially if you have children. They really are so easy to please, and in the long run, what they're going to remember from you is not the things that they have, but the time that you spent with them. So when you're thinking about taking some of these things that we spend money on out of our lives, and you really feel like that's going to affect them, then maybe find something that is either really low cost or no cost to offset that. So maybe you have a practice of going to get McDonald's, every Saturday, or pack sandwiches and go have a picnic. They're going to love that time that they spend with you. There's just a ton of ways to focus on experiences rather than things that help you fill your life and the life of your kids with joy. I hope you found all these tips helpful. I'm telling you guys, take as many of those tips as you can and start implementing them, and you're going to get some room in your budget, and then immediately put that to savings. You have to save. It's the one thing that we did not do, and it's one of the biggest regrets of my life, of having to start saving at 46. Super embarrassing, but now we've reached over $100,000 in 3.5 years, and it's incredible to have that security and know that we've done it. So you can do it too. This is why we make these videos. We want to encourage you. So come back next week. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do. It helps YouTube algorithm get this message out to as many people as possible, and you get notified when we have new videos. All right, guys, take care. Bye.